Hey good people, do you already know which of the two parties you're voting for at the next election? Well, there's a whole world beyond the mainstream parties hoping to be explored. With a plethora of lesser known parties vying for your attention, it's easy to be overwhelmed in the ballot box. But you've got things to do, so I did a deep dive on all of your options and broke them down into 2-minute summaries. Stick around and you might just find a new number one. Labour. The Labour Party describes themselves as democratic socialists. It's slightly different in concept from socialism, but in practicality, it's essentially a watered down version, allowing for free markets, except in the case of essential public services like water, gas, rail, electricity, and that sort of thing. The Labour Party firmly believes these should be owned and operated by the government. If you read the Labour Party constitution, it says some stuff about the working class struggle that is straight out of Marxist doctrine. But if you look at their actions over the past 2 decades, you can see that they don't really adhere to that doctrine, and I doubt if they've ever read it. They certainly don't act in accordance with it. Just in the last 20 years, the Labour government has sold and therefore privatised Medibank in 2014, the Port of Newcastle, the Port of Melbourne, the WestConnex toll roads in New South Wales, and they even tried to privatise the National Railway Commission under Paul Keating back in '97. Lately, they are just left-wing populists that don't really have any clear principles. They make promises at elections that they think will be popular and then follow through on some of them. Their party doesn't have a policies page like every other political party. They have a plans page. It's a series of pledges that are written in a non-committal fashion, which means they can't be tested for success or failure. The Energy Price Relief Plan is a perfect example. Take action to limit gas prices. Take action to limit coal prices. Well, as long as they take action or are seen attempting to take action, they've met the criteria. Try holding them accountable on that one. You can't, and it's intentional. And the Liberal Party does it too. Liberal Party. Not liberal in the traditional sense of the word, which is small government, free press, low taxes, low government intrusion into your life. And much like the Labour Party, these guys don't have a policy page, they have a beliefs page. Because a policy page would mean they would have to have a plan, and you could see what that plan was before voting for them. By having a bunch of statements like, "We believe in Australia and its future," "a just and humane society," "the separation and distribution of powers," they're signalling that they're on the same side as you, that they want the same things. But who doesn't want a just society? The details matter. What do they mean by justice, and how do they plan to get it? That's what matters. Not your intentions, but your actions and the results. If they believe in equality of opportunity like they believe in a free press, then we are not on the same team. They have done some good things though. Tax cuts that allowed people to keep more of what they earned. Of course, that's slightly offset by inflation caused by printing money in 2020. They implemented the Emissions Reduction Fund and the Snowy Hydro Fund 2.0. In fact, if you want a list of achievements, just ask them. Go to their achievements page within the Liberal Party website. I think a huge proportion of their voter base comes from 2 places: name recognition and people that don't like Labour. If you vote for either of the 2 major parties as your first preference, I'd like to hear from you. Jacqui Lambie Network. It's a one-person party down in Tasmania. According to her 2016 policy page, the Jacqui Lambie Network's chief concerns are the Defence Force, tax reform, and nuclear power. But based on her actions, she's a big tent populist. She's really into veterans' health and military-related issues. She claims a lot of credit for winning a Royal Commission into veteran suicide. The result was that we spent $174 million on determining that veterans commit suicide. Money well spent. I wonder what positive changes could have been achieved if we had just given that $174 million to the RSL or directly to veterans. And if you think I'm making light of the situation, you're right, I am. Because things like this allow politicians like Jacqui Lambie to pat themselves on the back and say they did something, when in actual fact, all they did was waste your money and convince everybody to stop worrying about this problem. The reality is that the rate at which veterans commit suicide before and after they spent $174 million on the Royal Commission hasn't changed. Now that's not to say that Jacqui Lambie doesn't actually care. I'll bet she does. But it is to say that I'm more concerned about people doing good rather than looking good. Other things that Jackie Lambie has done is ensured that 8 billion tax dollars were spent in her state on renewable energy and traded her vote on the Liberals' tax cuts bill for $200 million in debt relief for public housing, although the ABC News reported it as $150 million. Who's providing accurate numbers? I don't know. Centre Alliance Party, aka Nick Xenophon team, is a South Australian party, and you can tell because it says so on their homepage. In their FAQs, they state that they see themselves as a watchdog against waste and a promoter of practical ideas for the country. Centre Alliance members are guided by policy principles. Stop it, you. And if we look into their policies, we find that they are in favour of government transparency in the form of an ICAC, changing Australia's perception of drug use from criminal issue to a health issue, some economic protectionism, increasing foreign aid, and meddling with superannuation so that people who have saved their money get less and people who didn't save get more. They also want to create a housing task force charged with recommending measures to reduce red tape and taxes. I don't know why they need to spend your money on a task force charged with the task of telling them to reduce red tape and taxes. It sounds like they already know what they need to do. I guess it gives them something to talk about at the next election. That's 4 pretty well-known parties in just 2 minutes each. But if you're looking for something that is a little more tailored to your interests, check out this video. We've covered the Labor-Liberal duopoly, but what about the Greens One Nation rivalry? And why do state-centric parties like the Jackie Lambie Network or the Centre Alliance Party register for federal politics? If you've got a theory, let me know in the comments below. And remember, you were born free.